Okay, so good day again, class. Welcome to lecture 3 of our technical research discussion. So today I'm going to discuss to you technical developmental research. Okay, so technical developmental research refers to developing projects or prototypes, instructional materials, fabrications, innovations, programs, and systems. Okay, so we do prototypes for our research. Okay, so that's developmental research. What are those prototypes? For example, if we wanted to have a product of our uh, flood control, so we need to have a prototype of how we do that flood control. If we wanted to do um, research on aquaponics, then we will need to do or we need to have prototypes in aquaponics. Okay, we do prototypes here in technology because we wanted to validate our designs based on prototypes. Okay, we do instructional materials, we do fabrications, innovations, programs, we do programming, and other systems, especially when we do microcontrollers, Raspberry Pi, and all other microcontrollers that needs to be done for our prototypes. Okay, what is project design? It explains the totality and how the project will going to work. Okay, that includes your methodology, the total design that you are going to come up, what microcontrollers to use, what sensors you are going to use, what is the outcomes. Okay, it shoulders the input, the process, and the outputs of our study. And defines the component parts. Okay, what are those sensors? May it be ultrasonic sensor for detecting distances, may it be motion sensor, may it be Bluetooth module, and what each component does for the system. For example, if you have a microcontroller, what does a microcontroller do in your system? Okay? What does a solar panel do in your system? What will a motor contribute to your system? Okay? What will a fan do to your system? Okay? So those are components or parts, and that is what belongs to our project design. Okay? How about project development? Okay, project development is how the prototype or the project will be developed. Okay? It includes the stages of operation and testing procedures. Of course, our prototypes, again, in our research in the College of Technology, once the prototype will not work, then you will not pass the subject. Okay? Includes the stages of operation and testing. Okay? In this stage of project development, testing and retesting are done. Okay, for example, you have a project of aquaponics. You have there the fish, you have there the plants. So, what will be our basis that our aquaponics is really systematic? Okay, so it does not need any human intervention. For example, if we set our system to water the plants every 6 a.m., then the system is, if it's fully functional, then at 6 a.m. it will just go into water by itself. Let's say upon watering, we're going to turn on first the motor below the aquarium for all the what they call this, the waste of the fishes will be really put into the plants as that will serve as the proteins and result as the fertilizers of our plants. So those system or those operations need to be tested. Okay? Problems are met and solved, and then project revisions are made until the project is perfected. Okay? From our problem, what are those problems that we wanted to solve? And then we do project revisions, we do project design from the start. Let's say project design 1, 2, 3, up until we really get the final output or the final design of our project. And then we will get a perfect project output. After our design, then we do evaluation. Okay? Evaluation of the overall performance of the project must be done. Okay? Who evaluates the project? Of course, our stakeholders. Let's say our project will be will contribute to our small medium enterprises. Okay? Then they'll begin to test that. May it be cooperative. Okay? Also, we can do testing on our farmers, for example. If we wanted to have a coconut sap dryer, okay, so farmers were going to test that. Okay? It's a significant step to determine the project's efficiency, which becomes the basis for project improvement. So for example, um, let's say you have a project for aquaponics, and then you don't have any system wherein the pellets or the feeds for your plants will be directly, like, there's no human interaction for the fishes to eat. Okay, so that can be a project improvement. So how do we do that? Okay, testing again. Okay, again and again, testing for the project and for improvement to get the best efficiency that we wanted to take or that wanted to achieve. Okay, so what are the research process? Okay, we can just simply go to our advisor or our instructor and then say, "Sir, I have a research that I wanted to do." And then what we're going to do? Okay, first things first, we need to identify and formulate the problem. We need to identify what is really the problem that we wanted to achieve or we wanted to solve. And then we're going to formulate the problem. For example, I have a study of my master's thesis in USTP. It's not my study. I'm just the advisor. The problem is um, the risk of our security personnel or the personnel involved in the screening area for the COVID-19. Okay? So of course, we as people, if we wanted to go to a certain mall, then we enter, and then there's this person screening us, getting our temperatures, and then giving us alcohol. So there is a risk of the security personnel, anyone personnel there. So that is a problem. We need to identify, okay? Because those personnel are very prone to infection for COVID. Because for example, if I, let's say if I cough, if I sneeze, if I am infected with COVID, okay? Then that person who is in the screening personnel might get the virus from me. So we need to identify first that problem. Okay? That is the problem. The health issue of the person in the entrance screening. So what do we do by that? Or let's say the problem also is because we don't want QRs because they say it's for security purposes. Okay? So what do we do with contact tracing? That is a very big problem now. What do we do with contact tracing? Because we don't know who those people are, let's say on an airplane. Okay? We don't know who those people are infected. If there is one person that is declared to be COVID positive, then we don't know how to trace those people in the airplane or in a certain group. Okay? Then the next process, we conduct literature search, review of related literatures. I am very particular with review of related literature. I don't want you to come to me or to come to your advisor by just reading one literature. Of course, it's not a review. Okay? In my case, what I do is to have a minimum of 50 journals that you need to read. And then we're going to summarize those literatures. Let's say a design for tracing COVID patients or COVID positive. Okay? We will read existing literatures. Let's say you have there trace, stay safe, pH. Those are samples of tracing our people who came to that place. You need to read and read and read because research is reading. You cannot just come up and tell us that you have read this, but you don't have any basis. You don't have so many literatures, okay? Because from literature, you will see there what was the design of the author. We need to have a summary of the designs, the summary of existing studies. Then we will going to write the advantage of these journals, the disadvantages of these journals, and their claims. That is very important because we might not know that the problem that we're identifying is already existing. That's why we need to do a summary of our literatures. Okay? And then next, we do conceptualization of the project design. From those literatures that we have read, maybe there is that one phase of those published journals that it did not capture the problem that we wanted to solve. Okay, there then we will going to create the conceptualization of our project design. And then we proceed with the development stage. Okay, what do we do next? We do the design, we consult people, we study. We study and read, and then by supported with theories and laws, then we do the development stage. Okay? So this is the process. Number one, we identify and formulate the problem. Okay? Then followed by literature search. Then create project design. After that, we create instrument for data collection. How do we do the data collection? We select sample or identify respondents. Who are our respondents? Will it be those people who really come to the mall? Or a family or a certain barangay, a certain city? Okay? Then we write a research proposal. Okay? From research proposal, we defend our research proposal to our panels. Okay? It's the first step of presentation in USTP for research. Then we develop a prototype. Okay? We first study, we first design. What is the prototype we wanted to make? What is the design? Okay? We make a prototype, and after developing the prototype, we do the operation and testing. We're going to onboard our designs. Okay? We will let people feel, understand, and operate those projects or those prototypes that we came up. Okay? And let those people do the evaluation. From evaluation of our operation and testing, we can get a concrete data. And then from that data, we will going to analyze. May it be in any statistical formats. Okay? And then, if we collect the data, we have analyzed all the information. Then we do thesis writing. Writing and defense. We present that. We write chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We defend that. We defend that with our panels. And then after that, we publish our research findings on different journals. Okay? You might not understand yet what these processes are, but allow me to present to you each process. Okay, number one, formulating a research problem. Okay, formulating a research problem is the first and most important step in the research process. So they have keep on telling you, you cannot proceed with your research not unless you have identified the problem that you wanted to solve. A research problem identifies your destination. It should tell you, your research advisor, and your readers what you intend to research. I hope you guys already had a brief experience on doing research. We did that in our high school, right? We had an investigatory project or a research subject. Somehow, these words or these statements should not be an alien to you. These topics should not be an alien to you. Okay? The more specific and clear you are, the better, as everything follows in the research process. The study design, the measurement procedures, how do we do a strategy of our sampling, the framework, the style of writing of our thesis or report, greatly influenced by the way you formulate your research problem. Okay, I hope it's clear. It is extremely important to evaluate the research problem in the light of the financial resources at your disposal. Very, very important is if this study, if this research will really be, financial resources will not be a problem. The availability of your time. Okay, of course, you don't have the luxury of time. You have a time frame. And your own and your research advisor's expertise and knowledge in the field of study. Okay? Of course, you will not get an advisor which is not an expert of the field. For example, your electronics technology, then you will get an expert in the business. Well, if it's related to business, then we get business. If related to electronics, then we get electronics. If related to agriculture, but with touch of electronics, then we get an expert in agriculture and an expert in electronics. Okay? It is equally important to identify any gaps in your knowledge of relevant disciplines, such as statistics, required for analysis. Okay? What is the gap that we wanted to solve? From the existing literatures, from the existing studies, what is that gap that we wanted to solve? Also, ask yourself whether you have sufficient knowledge about computers and software if you plan to use them. Do you know how to program? Do we know how microcontrollers work? Do we know how sensors work? We need to understand that. Okay? Before we start our complete research. Step 2. Where is the step 2? Okay? Constructing an instrument for data collection. Okay? Anything that becomes a means of collecting information for your study is called a research tool or a research instrument. Okay, for example, observation forms, interview schedules, questionnaires, and interview guides are all classified as research tools. Okay? Sometimes we adopt letter O, and then we adapt letter A on some questionnaires. Okay? Adopt O, it means we really took the questionnaire and apply it in our study. Adapt means the concepts are there, the theories are there, the questions are there, but we did some tweaks, a little tweaks. Okay? The construction of a research tool is the first practical step in carrying out a study. You will need to decide how you are going to collect data for the proposed study and then construct a research instrument for data collection. Okay? In a survey form, that's what we do. If you're planning to collect data specifically for your study, you need to either construct a research instrument or select already a constructed one. That's why I have told you earlier. Maybe we're going to adopt, copy a research question, or we make our own questionnaire. Okay? We can just do even Likert scale. Okay? Acceptability. If you're using a secondary data, information already collected for other purpose, then we're going to develop a form to extract the required data. Okay? In order to determine what information is required, go through the same process as described for primary data above. Okay? Field testing, a research tool, is an integral part also of instrument construction. We need to test our research tool for our validation. As a rule, the field test should not be carried out on the sample of your study, but on a similar population. So for example, we have a control data. Okay? Control data, it means those people involved is controlled. They are not part of the whole population. Okay? If you're planning to use a computer for data analysis, you may wish to provide space for coding the data on the research instrument or whatever you decide. And then, we select a sample. Okay? The accuracy of your estimates largely depends upon the way you select your sample size. Okay? The basic objective of any sampling design is to minimize, within the limitation of cost, the gap between the values obtained from your sample and those prevalent in the population. Okay? We select sample size. We cannot make the whole population of the city to be a sample. Okay? We just need to, let's say, we need to limit our sample size in just a barangay or in a school, in USTP. Okay? We can do that as our sampling size. Okay? Sampling theory is guided by two principles: the avoidance of bias, okay, we need not to be biased, and the attainment of maximum precision. for a given outlay of resources. Okay? And then we have this sampling design. Okay? Those are based on your statistics. And then writing a research proposal. Okay? So, step 5, writing a research proposal. Okay? Now, step by step, you have done all the preparatory work. Next, put everything together in a way that provides adequate information for your research advisor and others about your research study. Okay? This overall plan tells a reader about your research problem and how you are planning to investigate, and is called a research proposal. Broadly, a research proposal's main function is to detail the operational plan for obtaining answers to your research questions. Okay? And in doing so, it ensures and reassures the readers of the validity of the methodology to obtain answers accurately and objectively. Okay? Universities and other organizations may have different requirements regarding the style and content of a research proposal, but the majority of institutions would require most of what is set out here. Okay? So we need to know also what is the requirement of, or what is the, what they call this, the format of USDP in the College of Technology when it comes to research proposal. A research proposal must tell you, your research supervisor, and the reviewer the following information about your study. Okay? What you are proposing to do, okay? How you plan to proceed with the study, okay? Why you selected the proposed strategy, okay? And okay, what you are proposing to do, what's the problem that you wanted to solve? How do you plan to solve that problem? And why did you select that strategy in solving that problem? Okay? So for a research proposal, it should contain the following information about your study. The title, of course. Irrationale. Okay, what is the introduction? Okay, introduction of your study. Okay, what are in the irrationale? You come up there with the what are the current situation based on the journals that you have read. Okay, what are the literatures that you have read, and then we're going to come up with a problem based from those literatures that you have read. Okay. Next, statement of the objectives of the study, or objectives of the study. Okay. Objective 1, objective 2, objective 3. What are the objectives that you wanted to do? Okay. The proposed time frame. Okay. The timeline of your research. List of hypotheses if you are testing any. And then literatures related that supports your study. So that is review of related literature. The study design you are proposing to use. Okay. Or the methodology that you wanted to propose based on the problem that you wanted to solve. The setting for your study, let's say, will it be in a university setup, or will it be in a certain barangay? Okay. The research instrument use you are planning to use. Okay. The information and sample size and sampling design. Information on data processing and processing procedures. The study's problems and limitation. Okay. So I will make a separate video for this research proposal in here. And then, okay, I will make a separate video for you to really know what to include in your research proposal. Okay. Next is the collection of data. Having formulated a research problem, developed a study design, constructed a research instrument, and selected a sample, you will then start collecting your data, from which you will do your inferences and conclusions for your study. For example, so let's say your procedure is on making a new screening process for COVID-19, entrance screening. So you will have your what they call this, your design, and then you implement that, and then you collect your data based on the Likert. You give questionnaires to to the respondents. You give questionnaires to those people who have experienced that. And then maybe Likert scale, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest. Like, it's just an acceptability something. Then from your data, you will then get your conclusions for your study. Okay? Many methods could be used to gather the required information. As part of the research design, you decided upon the procedure you wanted to adopt to collect your data. Okay? At this stage, you actually collect the data. For example, depending on your plans, you might commence interviews, questionnaires, conduct group discussions, or make some observations. Okay? Collecting data through any one or methods may involve some ethical issues. For example, if you wanted to collect data from hospital, you can just simply go there and get information from people. They have rules, and you need to follow the ethics of that hospital. Step 7, processing your data. Okay, the way you analyze the information you collect largely depend on two things. The type of information, may it be descriptive, quantitative, qualitative, and the way you wanted to do your report. Okay, so you might use SPSS or any other statistical tool that you will going to use for your statistical procedures. Okay, and then next we write the research report. Okay, writing the research report is the last and for many the most difficult step of the research process. This report informs the world of what you have done, what you have discovered, and what conclusions you have drawn from your findings. Okay. Chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. If you are clear about the whole process, you will also be clear about the way you want to write your report. And your report should be written in an academic style and be divided into different chapters, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and their sections based upon the main themes of your study. Okay? So the next lessons that I'm going to tell you is how to write a research proposal and how to write each and every chapters of your research report. Okay? So that's all for today. Thank you.